Podcast, FloTrack Podcast at gmail.com is our email address. I'm Kevin Sully, joined by Gordon Mack. You can watch us live on YouTube Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Most weeks, you can also comment in the chat, watch it afterwards on FloTrack, or listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Gordon, happy Friday. How are you?
Doing good. The real question is, how are you now that the 2020-2021 NBA season has come to an end for your San Antonio Spurs?
I'm relieved. I couldn't take it anymore. It was becoming a stressful part of my life. I'm sure the playoffs will continue to be stressful because I'll be rooting for or against different teams, but it's never the same as your team. And it was the perfect way for the Spurs to go out, going down by 21, then drawing even. And I wouldn't even call it a moral victory, but because they lost to a team that they probably could have beat. You were texting me throughout, which was always appreciative. Whenever you're watching a game, you always want someone who's not a fan of your team to be texting you throughout all the flaws, all the issues that they have. I don't know. What did they shoot? 30% or something? You don't deserve to win if you shoot 30%. And I don't know. Afterwards, like I read the quotes from Pop. This is how I know I'm being soft as a sports fan. I'm reading the quotes from Pop, and he's just like, I was proud of the team. And I'm like, heck yeah, I'm proud of them too. I'm just happy. We didn't win. We made it through the season. It was a messed up season for a lot of teams, a lot of individuals, but they all like each other at the end, and that was enough for me. And now I can focus on my new favorite team. As you know, I've been a lifelong Bucks fan. I bleed green and blue. What color are the Bucks? Again, there are a lot of different colors.
Purple?
They
A little purple?
Purple. Yeah, they have little purple highlights in them. Big up to the Bucks. Ride or die with them. I mean, I was bummed about the Warriors too. I wanted to see the Warriors pull out that game. I think everybody wanted to see the Warriors pull out that game.
Yeah. Well, I was cheering for the Spurs.
Thank you.
I was upset that they didn't win. But now I get to go through my 2 months, hopefully 2 months of torture for my Sixers as it starts on Sunday against Westbrook. Anyway.
So, it is different, though, when you're in the play-in because at least it's not prolonged torture of 4 to 7 games. It's like, we're out. All right, we're out. Move on. Whereas if your team doesn't really have a chance after that first game, you know, and then it's just painful to watch 3 more games of all their flaws being exposed. Yeah, it's yeah, it was. I had no expectations, and when you go in with no expectations, then you can't be too upset when they lose. You said, how are you feeling midway through the game? I was like, they're going to lose. And that was when they had cut the lead down as well, too. So, yeah, you get Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal in the first round. Are you excited about that?
It's going to be great. Wizards, that's the team that injured Joel Embiid, which is why he's not going to win the MVP. So a little bit of revenge. Also, Russell Westbrook does not like Joel Embiid and vice versa. So it should be good. It's going to be I'm trying to think of a track rivalry that we got. It's going to be like I'm trying to think. It's going to who doesn't like each other? It's going to be like I don't know. Well, that's the thing. Now that I think about it, there's not any like
everybody likes each
hatred
other
between athletes in track, right? Can you think of any 2 athletes that like hate each other?
Hate
Like that race against each other and they hate each other. Like the only hate that you see is basically media versus an athlete that's been accused of doping. That's the only hate you see. You don't see like hate because you beat me or I beat you.
I think people in the track and field world do a good job of keeping things to themselves or basically saying things in vague terms that nobody else responds because it's impossible for them not to dislike each other. At least somebody, you can't respect everybody. I mean, you get like the fake feuds, like the Centro Engels, Josh Thompson thing that, you know, they get bored at altitude camp and they make stuff up. Chalimo and Lamong was fun. There are a lot of memes and, you know, talking about lions and cats and things like that. But even, you know, Lamong came on the pod and said that there was no beef there. I would think the closest parallel you'd get is probably to some college programs that don't like each other.
Yeah.
You know, especially some programs in the SEC. The last time we recorded this pod, or 2 times ago on Monday, we went through all the assaults that were committed during various SEC distance races and Big 12 races as well too. That's probably where you would find the hatred, because familiarity breeds contempt. And then when you already have that rivalry going on from other sports, from other years, it just grows from there.
Yeah, I just hope that we need more hate. And I know that's not a really good platform to be on, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing Westbrook be so
Mm-hmm.
angry with Embiid and Embiid be so angry with Westbrook. It's just gonna be fun.
Yeah.
That's what makes a good basketball matchup. But in track, you don't have like Carissa Schweizer and Rachel Schneider just going at each other like
Yeah.
before and after races. No, they're like, oh, whatever, okay. Even though they're
Yeah.
two different, So I don't know. I want to see maybe you have a little bit of hate between like former Bowerman athletes and current Bowerman athletes. Maybe there's a little bit of like maybe Kate Grace and Colin Quigley are going to be like, let's see who can make the team versus like let's see who made the better decision, leaving Jerry versus staying with Jerry. I don't know. That's something. Well, Travis just texts us Bolt and Gatlin. Bolt and Gatlin didn't hate each other. Gatlin, when he beat Bolt, like bowed down to him and
Yeah.
like
Well,
praised
and
him.
then he went, and then at the press conference after, Bolt basically defended Gatlin because that people were
Yeah,
still coming at Gatlin, and Bolt like stood in front of the bus that was coming for Gatlin after he got beat by him. It's easy to do that when you beat him, but yeah, the
yeah,
between the bowing down and then the the covering, not I don't want to say covering for him, but the going to bat for him at the press conference, defending him, like because he could have easily played into the whole the the integrity of the sport is on the line, and what's going to happen to the sport now that Bolt lost and he got beat by Gallon. He didn't do any of that. If you go back and watch the press conference, he took a complete 180 from that. Bolt would snip at people when they would run fast at like pre, and then someone would say something. Someone would say something that was completely innocuous, and it would get taken out of context. Like a reporter would ask, do you, this isn't a specific thing, but this is like a vague memory of the era. Someone would ask, do you think Usain Bolt is beatable? And a U.S. sprinter would be like, well, yeah, anybody is beatable on any given day. And Bolt would use that as motive. Oh, okay. You think those Hayward Field times mean something? We'll see when it comes time for the Olympics. But it's so contrived, and you're just trying to create a rivalry. The Bolt Lyles thing from 2019, but Bolt's not competing anymore. So he doesn't,
yeah.
he's like a guy on now, like on Inside the NBA, just commenting, which that's fun, right? It's fun when Donovan Mitchell gets an awkward interview question from Shaq, but that's not fueling your game to game interest in in the actual event. Like you need somebody actively competing. I want them to be honest, right? I don't need them to make up fake rivalries, but honest ones would be good. Honest dislike is fine.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some like in the moment hate. Like we had like a Will Lear being pissed about like the end of a 1500. I remember at one of the
Yeah,
USA's. We
yeah,
had um Blankenship just being pissed at himself for not making the team in 2015 it was. But I don't know. Yeah, we just don't have that true hate. I mean, Sha'Carri Richardson, she's been subtweeting some people. Maybe she hates some people. That's good. And maybe we can get a little bit of we need like though like the second best 100-meter runner to be
hmm
like fuck you, or I should say F you. That's I'm not sure what the this is
yeah.
TV
What do you do?
PG
Yeah, you
13.
just got us
Whatever.
the explicit rating, man. No,
I got Scott's a strike. Sorry. But we need some more characters
yeah,
barking at each other and not just racing each other. It's more
yeah.
fun.
I remember after Doha 4x1, Mike Rogers was like pumped up because they just won the gold. And I was like, when did you know it was over? Said something like that. And then he's like, we all knew it was over. Great Britain knew it was over. Like he was being very he was pumped up. Yeah, and he had a right to be, and it was completely innocuous. But you could see I forgot who else was in the interview with him. It might have been Noah or Christian, or maybe it was both of them. And they get a little sheepish like when he mentions that, because it's like, oh, don't mention the names. But like Rogers was saying probably what most athletes would have said of like, yeah, we beat him, We beat them good, and it wasn't close. But everybody was like, don't go too far. Don't be disrespectful or anything like that. But yeah, maybe it'll be Richardson that ushers in a new era. But I also think, correct me if I'm wrong, conflicts now and beefs on the internet seem to be more prevalent, but they're also fleeting because it's just like everything happens so quickly. The tweets and the Instagram posts come and go so fast that it's like you forget about one thing a week later because there's 10 other things that pop up. Whereas I feel like in the previous era, people would marinate with it a bit more.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, remember when Shawnee Miller Weibo and Tori Bowie had their beef
Yes.
and they fought on it feels like forever ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe it's going to be on you and me, Kevin, during the Olympic trials to manufacture these beefs and, not report, quote, not report. I'm hearing, not reporting. I'm just hearing that, so and so was waiting for the so and so in the alley after round 2 of the 800. That's what we can
Well,
try to
you've talked to a
put
lot of
together.
people. You've talked to a lot of people, and they'll tell you things that they won't say publicly. What do you say is the biggest source of dislike from one athlete to another, one program to the other?
Biggest source of dislike? I mean, there was the whole like
Yeah, and I'm not saying
NOP
names specific.
versus everybody, right?
Well, right, but I'm
That was
saying what's the source of? I'm not saying name specific people or groups that hate each other, but it's like what are they getting mad at? Right? In basketball, football, oh, it was a hard foul, it was a cheap shot, it was something maybe personal that happened off the court. But like, what are they even getting mad about in track? Is it sponsorship issues? Is it allegations that some people are taking shortcuts? Is it coaching drama? Like, what is it?
I mean, it's doping allegations or just being associated with doping allegations is
Right.
what they would cause people to be upset about. Like, it's not about, the like for a while now, the brand, the of NOP had this allegation to them. So we even saw like Jenny Simpson and Craig Engels, like Jenny Simpson call out Craig in the was it Doha,
Yeah.
and then Craig was like, "We had breakfast together. What's
Yeah.
the deal?" And he
Yeah.
was kind of like confused. But I think that's really the only true hate we have in like the distance side is, the like being associated with Alberto Salazar, and even there might be a little bit of that now, even without
Mm-hmm.
Salazar in the mix, because they just want to, you know,
Yeah.
still say that, oh, if you're just were any way connected to it at any time in your entire career, that's forever tainted. But I don't know. It's just,
My point
before
is,
you, yeah,
I think you're
sorry.
100% right. My point is that's that's a real issue, and that's almost a too big of an issue to have a beef over because then you're getting at the core of the integrity of the sport.
Yeah.
Whereas I think a better beef is much more trivial, right? It's more uh I don't fun in a way.
Yeah.
This isn't fun. You have people from like different events, different event groups, different genders, like going at each other uh, about whether or not a coach should be suspended. It almost needs to be. We need to find something for people to argue about that's not as serious. Doesn't go to the core of it. I mean, this is important and it's good conversations. And I was glad in Doha that they were saying what's on their mind. You can't criticize people for never saying anything or holding back, and then when they do, be like, "Well, why did you do that? You're violating the decorum of this Doha mix zone that I'm in." No, you can't say that. You can't say that. But I just think that it's like too big of a it's like too big of an issue to be lumped under something as trivial as a beef.
True. Well, we still got time to create these beefs before the Olympic trials. We're like 5 weeks away. So that's 5 weekends of,
Yeah.
something happening. Let's make it happen. My call to the world of track and field, please start talking. It'll be great.
Yes.
Anyway.
Less subtweeting, more actual tweeting. Do you think Joshua Cheptegei has a beef with the 3K world record?
I think he has a beef with himself. because I think he's realized that, hey, the shorter distance I go, the less likely I am to be an all-time great. He ran 7:33. He basically ran almost close to exactly his PB. It's a little bit
Yeah.
faster by like 0.02. I think you could tell like after 3 laps, it's like this wasn't happening.
Mm.
It made sense that it was kind of on looking back on it now, you're kind of like, oh, this makes sense that he wasn't going to run 7:20.
Yeah.
But because the last time we saw him, he was breaking 5K and 10K world records, we're like, hey, why not? Yeah, I think it's still a good result.
Mm.
7:33 shows he's fit, shows he's in shape. He did the whole thing by himself, basically. What were your thoughts though on Chalimo? I kind of like what do you take away from a 7:41?
Not much, because he went out with McSwain and Cheptegei. And if you want to think about what's the least efficient way to run a 3K, it's probably going out at world record pace and then falling off of that.
Yeah,
So, I mean, he runs 7:41. So he ends
yeah.
up closer to third place than he did to first. I think what would have benefited Chalimo would have been if there was a second rabbit that instead of running 59s, because McSwain did go through 1600 in 355, 356. They were on pace. That was the first sign I knew this was trouble. Was the rabbit McSwain, who's sub 730 guy, was like dying at the end, and Cheptegei was a little bit off of him. And I was just thinking, these guys are the gas pedals to the floor, and he still has 3 laps to go. I think it would have helped. Yeah, Chalimo maybe having someone run 61s would have been beneficial for him. It wasn't really set up for his success. Maybe it was just a speed workout. Hey, run the really, really hard first 1200 and then go from there. But it's not as if Cheptegei didn't run world record pace for the beginning. It's not like he just ran 7:33 pace the entire time. He started off at 7:20 pace, and that's the part where Chalimo is running with him. So that it had to have been very painful the last couple laps.
Did you see so Kyle Merber tweeted out, what do you think Stuart McSwain was paid to pace this 3K, 10K over under? And then Ryan Gregson, a fellow Aussie, said he did it
Yeah.
for free because they are mates. First of all, because they are mates is such an Aussie phrase to say. Gotta love it. You gotta love it
Yes.
when you get
No
to,
beef there.
hey, no beef there. They're not friends, they're mates. Gotta love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I mean, it Cheptegei.
He should pay. He should get paid. Just say it. He
You,
should get paid. You went out there and ran a whole bunch of 50, 58 points. You should get paid for that.
well, they should at
McSwain's
least give him like a dinner or something, like maybe like a gift card to the Olive Garden, something like that. Maybe this is the beef. Maybe it's you owe me some dough for pacing you through the first half of that 3K.
You know what they needed? They needed another pay. Like McSwain, because he's 7:28. McSwain could have been the guy to get him to lap maybe 5 and 6 or 6. Now 6.5 would have been way too many. But he could have been that second guy who bridged the gap. But Cheptegei is getting to a point which all elite runners aspire to be at, which is you run out of rabbits at a certain point. There physically aren't enough people inhabiting planet Earth who can run at your pace to pace you in these races. So you have to get better and better people. But the problem is, the better the people are, the less likely they are, even if they're mates, to pace you because they want to be running their own race. They want to be running their own time. You saw that's what happened with Kipchoge. Literally, the breaking two and all that stuff with the cycling rabbits in and out had to be done because he's too fast for regular rabbits. He ran out of people. He ran out of personnel to use. But yeah, you should pay him. He should get paid. He should have gotten something for that effort. That was he did a good job. He did his job.
Anyway, Kiplimo 26:33, number 12 time in history.
Yeah.
But the biggest story, he wasn't wearing the freaking spikes, which is great because then
Jacob Kiplimo.
now
Yeah.
people can't talk about it. Kiplimo 26:33, no spikes. He did it with the good old technology of 2019 and was able to
Back in
do
the
something in
day.
he did in pre-pandemic shoes. What a
Hmm.
feat. Who would have thought? He wasn't wearing a mask either. Crazy times. Uh, what are your thoughts on Kiplimo's 26:33? And who's your top three now in the 10K? What's your
Jeez.
Olympic 10K top three? Like, what's your
Man,
order?
Farrah's got to be nervous right now. Farrah's got to be very, very nervous. I think you got to put the two Ugandans 1 and 2 right now. I think you got to put. I'll keep Cheptegei up there at number one, and then I'll have Kiplimo at number two. But I don't know. I mean, someone like Ronix Kiprotu in three. You got a solid Ethiopian contingent there as well too. This is a hard race to medal in, and 26:33. I agree. It's fun when people don't do it in the spikes because you can just cross that off. It's just like, here's the list of things I have to talk about with this race. Oh, don't need to talk about the spikes. Yeah, they're solid. And we talked about his potential, right? And how he's half marathon world champion, and then he's a sub 7:30 3K runner as well too. The range is insane. It makes sense that he'd be great in the 10,000. He's a medal favorite.
We had a bunch of other things that went down. Kind of run through them. Curly beat Gatlin
Oh
and
yes.
DeGrasse in 996. Sha'Carri Richardson won easily in a headwind. There's Curly. Put him on your screen. Look at him. The guy's a beast. Beats Gatlin and DeGrasse 996. Then goes on to get second to Kenny B in the 200. Sha'Carri Richardson runs 22:35 in a headwind. Wins easily. Max Bergen runs 144. There, I'm going too fast for Travis. We got some photos there. There's Sha'Carri Richardson. She did not like Ostrava though. She did tweet out that she's never going to come back to Ostrava because she did not like the
Hold
city.
on, hold on, hold on. She didn't
What?
say. Oh, she didn't put Ostrava's name in it. You don't know what she
Well,
was
who else is
referring
she
to.
talking about?
It could have been anything. She just
But
said, what's the tweet say? Let's analyze this tweet here. She says, first and last time here, not impressed at all. You don't know where
okay,
she's at. She
okay,
could have been
click.
at an Olive Garden.
Okay, well, click
She
on it.
could have been
Click on.
anywhere.
If you click on the tweet, does it say where this tweet originated from?
Yeah, but it could have
Twitter.
been it
Click
could have been a
on.
place within a city. It doesn't need to be the actual city. If you tweeted first
Okay.
and last time here, not impressed at all, I wouldn't be like, man, Gordon doesn't like Terre Haute. He's never going to come back here for the cross country championships. I was like, well, maybe he's talking about a Raising Cane's because they didn't have the 9 different types of sauce that Gordon demands whenever he goes to Raising Cane's. Like there could have been any number of reasons here.
First of all,
This this
you
generation is very vague. This
you
generation is not
quickly
specific.
you quickly had Terre Haute on your mind as a reference point for this type of conversation. I think that
I
means
love it.
something about
I
what you
love it
truly
there.
think about Terre Haute.
I love
Yeah,
it.
she didn't like Ostrava. Let's just be honest.
I'm not going that far. But anyway, I mean, I think for her, the margin of victory was significant. It wasn't a sub 22, but who cares? Like you're running in not good conditions, and you beat Shippers, you beat Okobare, you beat Kambunji, which is solid. I want to talk about
It's
Curly
funny.
though.
We'll go back to this tweet. Uh, we're literally trying to debate about what she's talking about in Twitter. Travis, put the tweet back up. It's just half of y'all have no clue what I tweet about most of the time. Yeah, the Kevin half have no clue. Gordon's half has the clue.
No.
She was talking about Ostrava.
You have it flipped around. You have it flipped around. You're doing the simple explanation of Ostrava. I'm thinking there's something deeper there. I want to talk about Curly though. Listen, he's run 991 this year, but I think this 996 is more impressive because of who he beat. He beats Gatlin and he beats DeGrasse. Can we talk about the fact that a 400-meter man is beating 2 of the top 5 100-meter runners in the world? That's significant.
I think it is significant, but I also think the depth in the 100 isn't as strong. I think it's super top heavy with Coleman, who's not running right now, and Bromell, and
Mhm.
Lyles, who isn't going to be really good in the 100 until August. So there's just that big drop off. So there's a lot easier for these superstar elite athletes in other events to be able to compete against the second tier of 100-meter runners in the world. And
Sure.
Curly and Norman are two of them. and Curly now is taking advantage of it.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me that somebody could. We're living in the era of combo sprinters because you mentioned Norman. We've seen Benjamin run some really fast 100 times. Van Niekerk obviously is the other guy in that sub 10, sub 20, sub 44 club. Curly, though, missed on the sub 20. Kenny B runs 19.9. I think he's going to need to do it when he's fresh. I think doubling back is probably pretty tough, but you think he could do it, right? With 43 and 991 to his name. You think he could get that sub 20, and perhaps he'll join that club soon. Great Britain, as you mentioned, is rolling right now with the 800-meter runners, the teenage 800-meter runners with Bergen and Hodgkinson. 144 for Bergen and 158 for Hodgkinson. They're gonna send a pretty strong team. Mid distance in Great Britain is really good right now, as we've talked about ad nauseum on the show as it pertains to the men's 1500, but also the women's races as well.
Who would you take in a 2x DMR mixed relay? So America puts together a men's DMR and a women's DMR, and they run 8 legs back to back in any order they want. So two 400-meter women, 2 800-meter, a 4 and a 4 8. A man and a women 400-meter runner, a man and a woman 800, a man and a woman 12, and a man and a woman 16. British versus America. Who wins?
Okay. So Great Britain would have Kerr. They'd have Whiteman. They'd Giles. They'd have Bergen. They'd have Muir. They'd have Riki. They'd have Hodgkinson. There's someone else I'm probably missing. The U.S. would have Brazier. They'd have Centro. They'd have Hawker they could use. They'd have Engels. They'd have Hopple. Ooh. Women's
and then
side
Shelby.
of things. AJ Wilson. Let's just go runner to runner. Yeah. I'd still take the U.S. I think it'd be close.
Okay, yeah. So U.S. would win the 400 by what, a second?
Yeah. The 400 would be the big. That would be the one that has the biggest gap, but it's the one that matters the least. Yes.
But it'll be what, a second or 2 seconds? You know what? We're really good in the 4. Let's give ourselves 2 seconds.
Yeah.
2.5. So 2.5. But 800. I mean, they're a guy 144 and a 158. So what? We're gonna do 143 and a 158, 157. So maybe give us 1 second in the 800. So we have a 3.5 second lead. 1200 starts getting a little iffy, and I think Britain will start taking advantage in the 12 and the 1600, and I think United Kingdom will win.
Well, it depends how the anchor leg starts, right? Is it straight from the gun, or are we sitting and kicking here? Because if we're sitting and kicking, maybe the U.S. would have an edge, but if it goes straight from the gun, GB will run really, really aggressively. I want to know, though, on this topic, who would be your distance legs right now on a U.S. men's and U.S. women's DMR? Who runs the 8, the 12, and the 16?
I think you put Brazier on the 12, Hopple on the 8, and Centro on the 16.
Okay. That's why I had 2. Women's side of things, you close with Shelby. Do you go Purrier in the 12? We saw her go sub 2 in the 8. Or do you try to figure out a way to get Mo and AJ Wilson on that squad?
You definitely don't put Mo in the 12.
Well, yeah, I meant Mo in the 8 and then AJ in the 12. Do you stretch her up to the 12?
I mean, I would put maybe Shelby in the 12 and put Purrier in the 16. And then the 8, I would do Aji, and then the 400, I'll put Mo.
Okay. Yeah, you have an extra spot there.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah, it is. It is crazy to be like, yeah, you just take that 800 runner and drop her into the 4. Okay, so you put Shelby in the 12. That's interesting.
She is Shelbo 800 on Twitter, so
yeah, that's true.
She has the speed.
Moving on.
Why not? Right? I think.
Well, just because Purrier just recently ran under 2, that's why it's fresher in my head right now.
Yeah.
that she's got that 800 speed. Shelby, with her exploits in the longer stuff, we're forgetting a little bit about her short distance races. I don't think you can go wrong with that team. And then I guess Team GB, you put Kerr on the mile, and then I don't know. You stretch. You kind of want to get Giles and Bergen both involved, but you also have
Yeah.
O'Hare. You also have Whiteman. You have a lot of different options there. They're like the BYU of DMRs. You could do 8 of them, and they'd be really good.
That's true. Speaking of BYU, they qualified, here we go, 69 different athletes or different entries for regionals. We'll talk about regionals later on in the pod. But
And you're really trying to get
BYU,
the rating changed on this pod. Let's move on. Okay.
hey, it's
Gen-
a stat that they tweeted out.
Genzebe Dababa DNF'd in the 1500. She's scheduled to race on Saturday in Andujar. I think her track time might be coming to an end here. Great in the half, sharing that 65 in the half, but I don't know what event she's gonna have. We got the gif here of her um, pulling off. Oh wow, we got the red circle there. Good job, Travis. There. I mean, she's just dropped out of so many races recently, and it's tough to expect someone who's a half marathoner to hop into an elite 15 and be fine. She is the world record holder in that event. I would guess 5 and 10 would be her path forward to the Olympics, but even that seems pretty tricky. And then we also have some really sad news. People tuned in and saw Christian Taylor in the triple jump. He was attempting a jump and pulled up on the runway, and something immediately looked wrong because you just don't see Taylor, especially. I mean, you and we've watched hundreds of his jumps throughout his career. Very rarely has any sort of an issue. Turns out he ruptured his Achilles, Gordon, so he will be out for the season. 6 gold medals in his career. So he's won 6 of the last 7 global titles. Just horribly, horribly unfortunate injury there. Wish him the best speedy recovery. Of course, he is an institution in the sport. So hoping he heals up.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of, you know, not thoughts and prayers because he didn't pass away, but like a lot of like best wishes and get well soon moments from around the track and field community towards Christian. He is one of the all time. He will be the all time great, horizontal
Yeah.
jumper that America's ever seen. And hopefully he's able to recover and be able to at least come back and be able to jump in Eugene in 2022. With this whole pandemic pushing all the championships back to back to back to back, you got to hope that this doesn't mean it's the end. Obviously, he would have loved to gone to Tokyo and represent USA at the Olympics because there's something about the Olympic Games. But hey, man, like sometimes we don't know why things like this happen, but the best thing we can do is use the negative moments in our life and turn into something awesome. And I'm sure Christian will do just that
Mhm.
as he recovers to hopefully come back even stronger in 2022.
Yeah. I mean, just you look at his career; it's incredible, and
Yeah.
jumped over 18 meters. Had really good cracks at the world record. Has said that that's something he wants to get. But even putting the world record aside, just the amount of dominance. It's like how many people have won 6 out of 7? It's a in you go back in history, right? How many people have had that level of winning over an extended period of time? It's it's tough. Also, Funky Jam Dude in the chat says, "Rest in peace to Lee Evans, complete legend who passed away." If you guys don't know history of Lee Evans, check that out. Do some googling, educate yourself on his contributions to the sport of track and field as well too. Um, there's another meet that happened that I wanted to talk about, and this happened. When did we record last? We recorded on a Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? When you talked to Kipchoge about running on a boat? Is that Tuesday?
Yep.
Okay,
That was
cool.
Tuesday.
All right. Well, while that was happening, there was the USATF Open, which is out here in Texas, and the weather was horrible that day. I know you remembered it. Uh, but one Allison Felix made the best of the situation. Gets the win in the 400 there, Gordon. 50.88. Don't pay attention. Zoom in on those times, Travis, but zoom in, or Alon, but don't zoom in because you're looking at the time. Looking at the margin from first to second there. I mean, just a half second gap there, a little less than half second from Felix to Jessica Beard. Listen, things are going well for Allison Felix. I think if you planned out how if she planned out how she wanted the season to go, she would be right in line with the most optimistic estimate. She keeps beating, I think, expectations here. So I'm excited to see her now in a good weather 400 with even better competition that she got in Texas. But I think even you would admit at this point she's going to make the final in the 400 at the trials.
So first of all, that tweet you see on the screen right now by Statman John, that tweet reads like a LeBron James tweet because they have like age 35. This is her 19th season as a pro. It's definitely like whoa, you're doing it at such an old age. I will concede that it is a good time. It shows promise, and she
You
is
don't need
definitely
to have
better
this
than
take.
she is definitely better than I thought she would be at this moment.
Okay.
Because, but
No,
I don't
but
think I'm
you don't need
still
a but.
going to go with the take that I don't think she's going to be top 3 at
Okay,
the
but
Olympic trials.
but you listen, dude. You said that she wouldn't make the team in the 400. You said that means she's not gonna make the final in the 400. That's what you said. I
Is that what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
I'm going on not make the. I'm not making the
No,
four. Well, you said she was making the
you.
200 team.
I think she's gonna do that too.
No,
You
she's
can
not
change
making
your
the 200
take.
team.
You can
I'm
change
changing
your
my take
opinion.
that she's not making an individual team.
Okay, well, she'll prove that one
That's a
wrong
fair
too.
take.
Look, I was optimistic, especially relative to you on Felix's. Uh, or I wasn't as optimistic. I was more optimistic than you, but beats my expectation. I'll just say that too. I think most people did not see this level of coming from Allison Felix this year. Even the biggest fans, perhaps, did not see it. Um, yeah, I don't know. We're a month away, right? We're a month away from the trials, and
Yeah.
she's just trending in the right direction. And other people are going to have to show up at some point. I'm starting to think the biggest resistance is going to come from the collegians, and there's a lot of good collegians, and we'll talk about them in a moment here. But someone like Beard has run 50.3 this year in good conditions. She's one of the people that she has to beat. I don't think she's a favorite. I don't think Beard's like a favorite to get top 3, but she's someone who would be in that 4 through 8 range now. I just think it's just any marker you put down. I think Felix has exceeded
Well,
this year.
let's look at the U.S. list right now. So bring up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Bring up that screen. So you got Mo,
Mm-hmm.
Little, Hayes. So I'm a big Quinera Hayes fan now, even though I underestimated her like 2 months
Yeah.
ago. Irby, Ellis, Beard, then Felix. So Felix is 7th
Yeah.
right now. I mean,
Basically,
we still have yet to see Waylon Jonathan's run well. You have still to see Phyllis Francis run well. So there's like other big dogs out
yeah.
there who just haven't put down a good time yet. Maybe there's a reason they haven't put down a good time, but
But if you
I don't
look at
know.
the top, if you assume, which I'm assuming you're not, but there's a decent chance Mo doesn't run the 400 at the trials, and then well, right, but you just saw her beat Beard, so there's 2 people already in front of her that she beats. That would move her up to 5th. You're right, Jonathan, Francis, those are the people that you're waiting on, but we're running out of time. We're running out
Yeah.
of time, and I'm not saying it's impossible. If someone goes out tomorrow and runs a 49.2, you're going to say, well, they're probably the trial's favorite just because it's so far and away better than anybody else on that list. But where are they going to come from? And again, I think you have to give Felix just a little bit of a boost with the experience. I think that is going to matter, especially in a year like this, to get it right at the right time. And peaking at the right moment has been something she's thrived on throughout her career. So even if she's in range, I think she's going to do a little bit better than we thought. Michael Cherry also won in Fort Worth. What did he run? 44:37.
44-3 something.
Yeah, so he gets a good win there. Stephen Gardner looked to be ahead and then fell down and DNF'd at the end of that race. But a good win for Michael Cherry.
Yeah, Michael Cherry had a funny tweet before he went on to run fast.
Oh,
Runs the world.
he bumped his head.
Bumped his head. They say dropping a baby on its head is a bad thing, but in track and field, it could be a blessing in disguise, and it gets you to run 44:37. I should have been jumping off of my bunk bed in high school in order to run faster.
I think you might have been doing that before you came up with some of your responses on the show. Jasmine Camacho Quinn wins again. She's firmly in the medal picture, and Ronnie Baker, Makai Briscoe win the hundreds. They were into negative threes. The wind was blowing out there for all these races. This was not the ideal setup for fast times. It's funny, if you look at this meet and pretend it was a distance meet, the focus of it all would be like standard. Who got the standard? And for distance, for sprints, a lot of people wouldn't have, just because the wind was so bad that a lot of people didn't get the standard, if that's why they went to Fort Worth to run this race. Fortunately for us, the U.S. sprint scene is not as reliant on the standard as the distance runners. But you go into a negative three, you're gonna have to be moving.
Talk a little NCAA stuff.
Yeah, we got about 20 minutes left, so let's close out with some NCAA declarations.
First thing, big. I was kind of surprised with the declarations. So let's run through the first one. Athing Mu is running the 400 instead of the 800. I think it's clearly she's been quoted saying like she's doing it for herself. I think ultimately the real reason is she can break the collegiate record, and if you run the 800, you're out of 400s opportunities, because now she's going to be given 4 more cracks at breaking the 400-meter collegiate record. So I think that's why she's doing it. She's already broken the 800-meter collegiate record. She's clearly going to win the race. I mean, she's so much better than everyone else in the field. I think the main question, though, is I hope this isn't it for her in the 4. I hope she runs both the 4 and the 8 at the trials. She says she's running the 800 at the trials, but we have to make a thing, Mo. I know you don't like people telling you what to do, but all I'm saying is run the 4 and the 8.
Don't listen to Gordon.
Win both. She can win both at the trials. Go for it. Run the 4 first. Get it out of the way. Make it at least a relay team, and then go win the 8 after. Run the 4 and the 8. That's all I'm saying.
Keep this focus on NCAAs. And the thing, though, if you're listening, don't listen to Gordon. Do not listen to Gordon.
Edwin Kurgat, Cole Hawker, Abdi Hamid Nur, and Blaze Farrow all scratched the 5K. Kind of surprised Kurgat and Mance do it, because it is the second event of their primary event, 10K. Kurgat is Iowa State and BYU. Both have like team point potential, and they're kind of sacrificing their team chances by not doubling their best distance 5-10 guys. My love for the 5K got a little bit of hurt because we lose Kurgat and Mance, but we do get Cole Hawker, which is great. Cole Hawker doing a 15 5K double. It's about a 2-hour difference, I think, between the 15 final and the 5K final. We got to go right into that. What do you think of Cole Hawker's 15 5K double chances? The last one to really attempt this truly was Lowy Lalang, but it had a different schedule, I think.
It's going to be, we have the single gender each day schedule now. It's incredibly difficult to do. I think he'll be the favorite in the 15. I think it's going to be tough. You don't think he's the favorite in the 15?
No.
Oh, sorry. Nagoose. Sorry. Co-favorite. I'm calling him the co-favorite.
Okay, sure.
Sorry.
I think
Nagoose didn't scratch the 15? I thought Nagoose scratched the 15 for the 10K. No? Okay.
No.
Let me start that over again and say he's going to have an easier time winning the 15 than the 5. That's not breaking news, right? That's correct. I think most people would agree with that. I look at this, and I know I told you just a second ago not to look at the trials, to just keep this specific to the NCAA's, but I look at this through the lens of trials. Well, Mance not running the 5K, that's a trials play. That's a play
Yeah,
of we think we can do well in the 10K at trials, and it's only a week away. We're just going to run the 10K. That's what that is. Kurgat, I don't get it from that perspective. He could do both. He's well, I don't know what's the process for the Kenyan trials. Does anybody know? Well,
he's
we
not
can
in.
assume he
Yeah,
would not be in the mix for it. So
yeah.
basically, this would be it for him. So I don't understand it from a Kurgat perspective.
Maybe he's banged up.
So yeah, and from a Hawker perspective, it's going to be tough because from a Hawker perspective, you're going to double, and then a week later, you're going to go try. We think at least you're going to go and try to make a team. So I was surprised. I thought they would each choose one, and then split up that way. Um, because if anybody was going to do just one event because of trials reasons, I think it would be Hawker because the nature of his event and just his youth, first time going through it. I guess I would have said Mo too. Mo would have been one where you're like, okay, it makes sense they only run one event. Everybody else, I don't understand it.
Yeah, tier scratches the 1500, but we kind of expected that. No steeple for Wesley Kiptoo, so no 5K, 3K steeple, 10K triple.
Dang it!
And
Come on, Wesley.
my girl Abby Steiner, who did not run SECs, she's entered in the 200, so she's given me hope once again to come back to be my Olympic trials qualifier. We'll see. I'm not Olympic qualifier in the at the trials. We'll see how Steiner does if she's fully healthy.
Yeah.
Bring up the team battle though, Travis. If you want to bring up the current team rankings, once you kind of account for Hawker doing the double, the Iowa State guys kind of mixing up what they're doing, Oregon dropped down to third. LSU kind of gained a point. They're at 95
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
And USC moved up into second because on the backs of some of the fast sprinters who ran well at Pac-12s. I'm surprised Oregon is doubling Hawker in the 15-5. I mean, they're in nowhere in the category of where LSU is. They're 55 points back. So
Right.
these extra 6 to 10 points that Hawker's going to get in the 5K isn't really going to move the needle.
I agree. I thought it would be all in or all out, right? And if you're all in, that means you're doubling tier. And maybe tier has a different situation, right, with health. So it doesn't make sense to double him. But you think if you're going to make the play, you make the play all the way in. Yeah, maybe we won't end up seeing him on both start lines when it comes down to it. Maybe we'll only see him on one. We have what, 6 people of your big 8 though left in the 5K. Is that correct? Because we got Hawker, we got tier,
Yeah, let's bring up
we got
the current rankings for the 5K.
for the
Travis,
5K.
go
Yeah.
to distance. Yeah, because that's the
So
only event we care about out of the
no,
18 events.
not true. You got Hawker,
There we
you
go.
got tier, you got
Scroll
Grijalva,
down a little more.
you got Kip2. My Kip2 pick already paying dividends because now 2 people aren't even running it. And then of
So
course,
this is the order. Tell them the order. Tell the order that I have ranked.
well, you have Grijalva, tier, Hawker, Young, Kip2, Brandt, Kemboy, Herrera. You took out Mance and you took out Kurgat. So this starts to look a little bit more winnable for some people than it did before, right? You eliminate some of the depth there. And then you have Mance number 1 in the 10K, Kip2 second in the 10K, Nur, and then Edwin Kurgat fourth. I think it's going to end up being I want to say 3-way battle, but I don't want to count out tier. I think that 1500 is tough. And I know Cole Hawker's done insane things this year, but I think that will be on a whole other level of what he did indoors. That'll be a whole other level, obviously, of what he did at Pac-12s. Did you see his kick in the 5,000? It was
No, I didn't
comically
see it.
fast. Oh,
Yeah.
it was like someone hit, they always say he's running like you got the fast forward button. No, Cole Hawker was like if you hit skip, like skip forward 10 seconds. Like he just bounced across your screen, past everybody else and won that 5K. It was a comical burst with about 100 meters to go. But I just think it's going to be so tough after doing a 1,500 against Nagoose to come back and do the 5K. So I see the 5K as Grijalva, Tier, and then Young and Kip too, as well. I see four. I think it's down to 4 people now. We've cut it from 8 down to 4.
Here's a question: if Cole Hawker goes out there and gets second to Nagoose in the 15 and comes back and gets, loses to a couple people in the 5K, can you put an asterisk on his indoor performance then?
No.
Because won't people look at it differently? Wouldn't you look at it differently, though? Because you'd be like, oh, he won both of these races because there was no Grijalva. There was no Nagoose. There was no...
fresh. He's still a freshman doing insane things.
He's not a freshman. He's a sophomore. Let's be honest. Come on. Pandemic happened. He's not a freshman. He's a sophomore.
Okay. Did it happen, Gordon? Okay. Second of all, no, I don't know, man. With all this person doubled and this person wasn't there and this person got injured and this person got DQ'd. There were more of those this year. There were more people who missed, obviously because people just opted out for cross. But I mean, that mile 3K was insane. He beat Tier, right?
Yeah, but
Tier,
does he
Tier's
pull off
a stand-in? Tier's a stand-in basically for everybody else, the way I see it, right?
No, it's not. He's not. No, he's not. Tier's not a stand-in. No, he's not.
Grijalva,
it's his teammate.
I know, but there's a chance Tier indoors was better than Grijalva. There's a chance Tier indoors was better than Nagoose in a 3K. He was on fire, ran 350 in the mile. So by beating Tier, it's not like there was nobody in that race. There was those were potentially the top 2 guys 3K indoors. Now, the depth was not the same, but those were potentially the top 2 guys indoors. So
I'm just saying the entire time we were watching the indoor championships without the best 5K runner and without the best miler. And that was Nagoose and Grijalva. And I said that way back before the indoor championships even started.
But why is
those guys have kind of
5K runner? Why is Grijalva the best 5K runner?
Why have you decided that? He ran 13:17 in December.
Okay, but PRs
smoking Cooper Tier.
There's no medals. There's no medals for PRs. You decided Grijalva was the top guy and put him on your rankings. It doesn't mean he was going to be the top guy indoors. It's not like he was head and shoulders above everybody else.
Dude,
you could do this game. You could do this game with a Thing Mo in the 800 and say collegiate record holder, far and away the best person in the 800. She would have won the 800 if she was in it. You can't do that in the men's 5 with Grijalva. The people are too close. We do not know. We will never know.
Well, we will know because when Grijalva wins the outdoor 5K, will you then concede that Grijalva and Nagoose are the 2 best miler and 5K runners? You can't go back in
time. You can't go. Well, yes, at this moment, but I'm not going to go back in time and say Hawker's championship meant less because those guys weren't there. Because he still would have been he still was in great shape there. I think Hawker's obviously best chance here is in the 15 against Nagoose, and I'm glad that event comes first because that's the matchup I want to see. I want to see Hawker versus Nagoose more. I mean, I want to see both more than I would want to see him in the 5K. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. What Hawker did is great, but
don't say a but on the guy.
I just don't think I don't think that happens in a regular year. That's all I'm saying.
Listen,
because
I agree with you that the chances would have been lower because you would have had more top quality guys there. But there also is a chance that it could have been Hawker 1, Tier 2, Grijalva 3 in the 3K, Nagoose 4. Like, you could have put those guys in and they could have been there and they could have added to the overall depth without being better than Hawker or Tier. That's all I'm saying. And it's not like those guys went through with a ho-hum regular season. They ran 350 in the mile. They beat Wesley Kiptoo in a 3K. They had accolades going in to the championships.
Nagoose and Grijalva
You gonna roll your eyes at a 350 mile? Come on, man. Come on, don't roll your eyes at a 350 mile.
You kind of sometimes might need to when everyone and their mom is running fast.
Hold on.
So
so the PRs don't
thing.
matter? The PRs don't matter now? So the 13-17 from Grijalva doesn't matter anymore?
I'm just saying Grijalva and the Goose are all undefeated in tracks since the pandemic started.
How many races has Crawl run since the pandemic? 3, 4? What are we?
He's run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's run 5.
Mhm. Big Sky. No, he lost it. Big Sky 800.
Well,
There, I see it right on
800's
the top of the list.
that's not a real
Nope,
race.
it counts. Blow that up, Travis. Put it
Oh,
on the
come
screen.
on. No, those are Big Sky. He's just jogging. The only race he cared about was the 1500. Come on. You know
Maybe he
that's
should have
true.
jogged. Maybe he should have gone full tilt there. Man,
The races where he
that
actually was trying was the 1500 at Big Sky, the 5K at
okay.
West Coast, the 1500
hmm
at Jim Click. Come on.
There's a lot of caveats here. He's undefeated, but only in track in races that he's trying. Okay, I see you. He's a
Yeah,
great
we
runner.
didn't hold it against. Did we hold
I
it
don't think
against Bryce Hoppel when he lost in a 4x4 during his winning streak? No, we didn't.
it's not a relay. Did Bryce Hoppel never lost, man? I think you're
No,
wrong.
he
Check the
lost in
Kansas.
4x4s. He lost in
No,
4x4s.
Kansas was undefeated. You must have been remembering it wrong. Listen, he's a great runner. I'm not saying he's not a great runner. I'm just saying the gap between him and it's not as obvious as you're making it sound. He definitely, definitely can win this title, but it's gonna be hard. He's not a clear number one here. All right.
Just
What
Bryce
up?
Hoppel lost in the 4x4. We have proof right here. Bring it up.
I'm
Bring it up.
challenging the ruling.
Let's
I
bring
think
it up. Bring it up.
anybody,
Here we go. There he goes. Boom. That's an L.
nobody's actually seen Bryce Hoppel lose a race in a Kansas jersey. Nobody ever saw that. You may have
I
thought
saw
you
it.
saw that.
I saw it at the West Regional in the 4x4.
You might have thought you saw it, but you were mistaken. That was somebody else. That was not Bryce
All
Hoppel.
right.
He never lost at Kansas. What can we put up the women's team rankings before we go so you can tell me about how those have shifted since the declarations?
I'm trying to see Travis find his different tabs. There you go. Yeah, so on the women's side, it kind of the big teams stayed together, but there was a little bit of movement. Like Texas A&M dropped to second. LSU now in the driver's seat. There's just so many more teams involved on the women's side than on the men's side, obviously. Because like you can podium, you think about this. The Texas women I have scoring 44 points, but finishing sixth. On the men's side, the Texas men, I have them scoring 37 points and finishing fourth.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot more of like the big 6 to 8 on the women's side that are going to score a lot more of the points. It's going to be like a conference meet where they're going to have like a bunch of teams in the 40s to 60s to kind of see who wins. There's not like that big drop off between Oregon and LSU or whatever. But right now, LSU's in the driver's seat with 63, A&M 61, Georgia 52, Alabama 51.
Okay.
I can almost
LSU
guarantee that this won't be the order because of they're all racing each other in multiple events. It's just bound to flip upside down.
Is there a way LSU combined men and women can get to 200 points?
No. That would require both of them scoring over 100. I don't think the LSU women have another 40 somewhere.
No, I'm thinking LSU men get a really great day and get to like 115, 120, and then LSU women get to 80. I mean, I know you're running out of points at that point. I'm just curious. Okay. Yeah, this is a tight matchup. This will be fun. This will be a fun one. Before we go, the Diamond League in Gateshed is this weekend. The two races I wanted to talk about real briefly. Women's 100, Fraser Price, Asher Smith, and Shakira Richardson. And then the men's 1500, Jakob Ingebrigtsen making his outdoor debut, Stuart McSwain, and then Oliver Hoare. So those should be fun. Women's 100 is great. I don't think we should take this matchup for granted. We have 3 of the top 4 women in the world right now, all squaring off in one race. That is sensational. It's going to be awesome. I hope the weather cooperates. Even if it doesn't cooperate, I expect to see another 10-7 from Shakira Richardson because the wind really does not matter when she runs. And I'm curious to see where Fraser Price is at now. You have to think her whole focus, like she'll come on late. She's had races. Was it 2019? She ran that run. They did that run at Pre where she finished almost dead last, I think. And then people were like, what's going on with her? And then righted the ship very quickly and became a threat. Asher Smith as well, too. Be fun to see her. That men's 15, when you have Ingebrigtsen's aggressive racing style and then you have Oliver Hoare's aggressive racing style, it kind of reminds me of the Spider-Man meme where they're both pointing at each other. I think that's what we're going to see. But I want to see Hoare. I hope he does the same strategy. I hope he runs the same play here and doesn't back off at all and goes out aggressive and then just tries to grind it down. It's going to be tough to do that against McSwain and Ingebrigtsen, but I would like to see him try that same strategy.
I think this is going to be the moment where people are going to realize that the reason the likes of Josh Kerr and Oliver Hoare look so good right now is because they're racing Americans, and Americans decide to run 337s. And when you run a 333, you look like a god among men. Going to this next level to go up against Jacob and, eventually the Timothy Chariots and all those other guys, like a Monaco 1500, it's going to really kind of see, it's going to be that true litmus test to see, is Oliver Hoare great or is he elite, right? An elite means he can hang with these guys who are pretty much going to be the medalists at the Olympic Games. And so what I want to see from Hoare is I want to see him be able to, it's not about hanging. It's going to be about, I want to see him in the mix with like 200 meters to go. Mm-hmm. It's okay if Ingebrigtsen pulls away. It's like, okay, that makes sense. But if he's in a mix with 200 meters to go and kind of falls off in that final 50 and finishes like a second and a half back, then they're going to be like, all right, he's in that conversation. But right now we don't know Hoare's ability at the international level until we see him race with these guys. And yeah, because right now I think Hoare, if I had to I think Hoare is a 10-5 guy internationally at an Olympic Games. Finished 10th to 5th. That's where he is. The question is, can he become I'm a 6th to 2nd guy where I can finish like flirting with a medal, right? And I don't think he's there yet, but maybe this race will be a data point that kind of says, oh, he's more of like, I could finish 6th, 5th, 4th at the Olympics as opposed to 6th, 7th, 8th.
I like how you turned everything into a referendum on U.S. men's 1,500 meter run.
Oh, got it.
It doesn't matter what the question is. I could be asking you about Ben Simmons' jump shot, and you'd be like, listen, Ben was 3 for 4 from 16 feet and beyond, and that just shows how weak the U.S. men are in the 1,500. It's just incredible. There's no American men in this race, and you're talking about the American men. I think Ingebrigtsen and McSwain are going to love racing against Hoare because he's the guy who can bridge the gap during that third lap slowdown and help get them to a fast time. Don't know what type of shape those guys are in, but you know that Hoare is in 332 shape. And if he decides to run aggressively in that section of the race, in the same way Laura Muir does this. Safan Hassan used to do this, right? She's the one like in some of those Dababa Glory races. She was the one who would keep the pace going but would stay in. We saw it in that 2018 5K that was crazy at the end of the year when Kajelka kind of played that role. Basically someone who's in the race but is racing aggressively. The top people, I think, really enjoy that person being in there. I did like the range that you put Hoare in. And I would say he's right now, I think he's in the 3 to 12 range. So I'd make it a little bit wider at both ends. I put Josh Kerr in that same range, 3 to 12. Well, because you got two guys. You got Chariot, you got Ingebrigtsen, and then it's wide open. Like Marcin Lewandowski was the bronze medalist in Doha.
It's true.
Now I know you love Marcin because you rode on the Metro with them back in the day, but Kerr can beat him.
That's a good point.
Hoare can beat him.
Third spot is open.
Yeah, the third spot is open. But also, you could have a bad race and finish 12th, right? Yeah. I think Centrowitz is in the 3 to 12 range right now as well too. I think there's two guys that have separated themselves. So bronze is definitely up for grabs, and then you don't know. There could be an injury, there could be a fall, there could be a DQ. Anything could happen. You could move even farther up. So that's this weekend. That'll be exciting. We'll talk about that on Monday. Anything else before we go?
We have other things we talk about. We'll probably talk about uh, one of them next week. Galen Rupp, he's running the 10K at Portland Track Festival.
Mm.
So we can kind of debate what we think he's going to do in that. Is he trying to make the Olympic team in the 10K? I don't know. What? I mean, I don't think that's what's happening, but we can
Here's my prediction. He'll do a
discuss.
workout after. That's my prediction.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll discuss Galen Rupp sighting in Portland. And just general news, Colin Quigley, who left Bowerman Track Club, she announced that she signed with Lululemon.
Mm. She got paid.
So she got paid.
What she says?
Lululemon.
She got a lot more than she got paid for Nike, is what she said. So
Really?
congrats to her. Yeah, there were some details. I don't think she put in a specific. I make this amount of money, but she said she got paid considerably more than she did with Nike.
Yeah,
So
she put up
congrats to
this Instagram post. We'll put up on the screen, Elon, so you can see Colin Quigley, Lululemon. I mean, you're starting to see more of this, right? You're starting to see
Mhm.
more non-typical Adidas, Nike, Puma, like Hoka type sponsorships. You see with Athleta with Allison Felix. Now I'm seeing
Mhm.
Lululemon here with Colin Quigley. I think with the rise of kind of like influencer culture and the ability for these stars, athletes being able to not just be foot models, but be more than just, hey, I wear your shoes. I
Mhm.
think we might see a lot more people in the running world have non-traditional deals. Um, and yes, you're always going to have the like, hey, I get noon energy drink sponsorship or like those small like energy bar stuff. But I think we might see a lot more like major apparel brands that aren't in the truly in the running category, which is
Mhm.
good. More people's ability to get paid to run. So gotta love it.
Also, adding in there is the shoe issue, right? That has to play some role in this as well too, of people wanting to wear the best possible footwear as well. And if you have a sponsor that does not sell
Have a
shoes,
shoe.
you can
Yeah,
wear whichever
whatever
shoe
you want.
you want. Because listen, right now everybody's saying Nike, Nike, Nike. Next year it might be a different brand that has the shoe that everybody wants. And if you're in a fixed contract where you can't wear whatever shoe you want, then you could say, hey, that's going to put me at a disadvantage. So I think that's a good point about the whole idea of influencer culture and these other brands getting involved. But at this current moment too, I think the shoe thing, it's not a deciding factor because money is money and everybody wants contract and they want a financial stability. But I think it's part of the equation here to have the freedom and the ability to wear whatever shoe you feel most comfortable with. Because I know that's an issue right now, right? With a lot of different companies and a lot of different brands.
Yeah. Well, I want to see. Are we gonna see like a Levi jeans sponsorship, or someone who's running a 10K and a pair of jorts? That'd be pretty cool.
Goodness. Yeah, I mean the possibilities are endless. I
Endless.
mean, I guess if you think when you just say, "Hey, to sponsor me, all you need to do is make apparel," versus you need to make a very specialized spike for my event, it lowers the barrier of entry of how many companies could do that. Now, I guess you could just say any company could do it and slap a logo on any generic kit, but you'd think, okay, you want something with some sort of natural tie-in. Jorts, jorts may not do it, right? Because may not get you all the way there. Um,
I mean,
but
what you need is like a big way would be like, well, imagine if like Elon Musk just happened to be like a huge track fan. He would
mhm,
definitely be like, oh, Tesla sponsorships. Just put a
yeah,
T on a white T-shirt, and
mhm.
there you go. You can wear whatever shoes you want.
I think he might do that because not enough people know about Tesla, that he needs them to be exposed to the track world. Nobody in the track world has ever heard of this obscure car. All right, we'll leave it
Yeah.
there. We'll leave it there. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks to Alon for producing. Thanks to Travis for producing. Remember, subscribe to the FloTrack Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe to the FloTrack YouTube channel. FloTrack Podcast on Twitter. Send us email, flotrackpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be back on Monday.